Hey everybody, before we get started, I want to encourage you to please subscribe to my channel for a very good reason. This is actually the first video using the Fuji X100F in Las Vegas. This video is going to be all about the street photography I did with the Fuji while I was in Las Vegas. But the next video is going to be about flash. I got a chance to go to the Neon Museum. They used to call it the Neon Graveyard, where they put all the old neon signs from Las Vegas. And I got a chance to use some off-camera flash with my Fuji X100F in that place. It's a place I've always wanted to shoot, and I did some good stuff there, some fun stuff, and I'm going to walk you through how I did it and talk you through it. And that's going to be the next video that I do after this one. This one's all about street photography, so subscribe to the channel, and that way you won't miss that video when it comes out. Also, don't forget to listen to my podcast, Photobomb. It's available anywhere that podcasts are found, and it's just photography news and a little bit of humor, and it's a lot of fun, and I guarantee you'll enjoy it. It's called Photobomb. Be sure and check it out. All right, I was in Las Vegas for 4 days recently to go to a friend of mine's wedding. She actually got married on that big Ferris wheel, you know, the giant. It's called the High Roller, right? She got married on the High Roller in Las Vegas, and I went. And I decided I was going to take my Fuji with me because I didn't want to take my big gear. I didn't want to work as a pro. I just wanted to travel light. I just wanted to do some fun stuff while I was there. So I had a chance to go out and do a little bit of street photography. Not too much. I spent, I don't know, maybe an hour or two total over the whole trip doing some street photography. And I thought you might be interested in seeing what I did and what my approach was and, well, how the Fuji X100F works on the streets of Las Vegas. I was waiting for my wife to come downstairs at the MGM Grand so I could go out and do some street photography when I started looking at the front doors of the hotel, and I thought, wow, this might be a place to get a shot. So I just sat there and I focused in on that area, and I just kept shooting off pictures when people would walk into the shot looking for something interesting, and eventually I got it. I think this is a pretty cool picture. I like everything that it has to say. It's also a silhouette, and I'm very fond of silhouettes. I tend to do a lot of them. I don't know why I like them so much, but I do like them, and you know, this is a pretty good way to start my day, this shot. I'm kind of an organized person. I like to organize things, and so I tend to organize my shots into categories. And one of my categories is places where there is a beam of light that will light the subject but not light the subject's surroundings. And I look for that when I'm out walking around. So on the streets of Las Vegas, there was a spot where there was a blast of sunshine coming in and hitting the sidewalk, but behind that spot, it was all dark, and in front of that spot, it was all dark. So I sat down a little bit out of the way so as not to be in the traffic and just waited for people to walk into that beam of sunlight so that I could isolate them against the world and take their picture. Now, this is not a good picture, but I'm showing it to you as an example of how you can so often see the potential for a picture, but you can't realize how to make it happen. And that was what happened here. If you look at that giant Coca-Cola sign, and then you look at that one lone woman standing right underneath it, there's a picture here. There's a way to capture this picture to get that woman and get that sign behind her and do something creative and really make a wonderful picture here, but I just couldn't do it. And there's a couple of reasons. I didn't want to go over closer to the woman. Maybe I didn't have the right gear for it. It was very busy and crowded. I was just trying to walk around. I didn't have much time. But what's important when you're going to do street photography is that you have to always be on the lookout for these opportunities. You have to always be on the lookout for what's an interesting juxtaposition, what's an interesting thing I can shoot. And this is a good example of, if I lived in Las Vegas, I would make it my mission one day to get a picture using that giant Coca-Cola sign. Figure out a way to do something really interesting in street photography using that sign. Today just wasn't the day. Sometimes I take pictures not because they're necessarily the definition of street photography, but just because I love the way that the Fuji X100F renders color. And sometimes it's just a joy to look at the color in some of these photographs. Also, you know, I'm on vacation, and so I want to have a few pictures to remember where I was and what I did. And again, I just love the color. Here's another example of how I just love a good spotlight that I can work with. And I sat down right there with my camera. I used manual focus to focus on the zone where people would walk. And then I just sat there with the camera down in my lap, taking pictures as people would walk through. It's very unobtrusive. People don't even realize you're taking pictures. And you can really get some interesting shots this way. The next day, I went downtown and walked around for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to take a look at what was available. Lots of great light and shadow downtown, lots of great people watching. And luckily, I had a friend of mine with me who happens to be a videographer, so we have these great behind-the-scenes shots. By the way, if you're wondering what's in that bag that I've got slung over my shoulder, I have a video that details everything that I carry with me when I go on vacation. It's on my channel. Yet another reason to subscribe. So I walked around downtown, and I looked for a spot where I could get something unique, and eventually, I found it.
So now I'm lined up and I've got this great spot for a silhouette, and I have to just sit here and wait and hope and pray that someone will step right into the middle of my frame so I can get them in between those buildings. It may not happen at all. Okay, I backed up about 10 feet because I noticed that there's kind of a walkway here and everybody's walking through it. So that's my best shot at getting somebody in my frame. So part of the problem is if I back up so the people get smaller and get into my frame, I also make those buildings way out there on the horizon smaller. And you want those buildings big because they give you the two sides that you can put people in between. So it's really a tricky situation, and one that would be more easily solved with a camera that had more variable lenses on it. But I wouldn't bring that camera to Las Vegas. I'd only bring this one because it's so easy and fun to use. Part of what makes it fun is trying to figure out how to solve the problem.
I spent about 15 minutes in that spot, and this is the best picture that I got, and I like it. There's some things I would change about it if I could, of course. The wire going across the top and the people in the bottom, and it's kind of muddy. It'd be better if it was just the palm trees and her, or just the buildings and her. But that's the thing about street photography, is that you just have to keep trying over and over again until you get something that you really, really like. I do like this. It's just not perfect, but then so little in street photography is perfect. Another thing about doing stuff like this and taking the time to do street photography is that I sat there on the street in the middle of downtown Las Vegas for a good 10 or 15 minutes, right up until security made me move. And you pause and you look around and you pay attention to people. You know, we spend all of our times in our phones and all of our times so engaged all the time that it's nice to force yourself to actually just be in a moment. And I was definitely in the moment, sitting in the middle of the street in Las Vegas. Don't forget, my next video is going to be all about off-camera flash with the Fuji X100F. I had a chance to shoot at the Neon Museum in Las Vegas with my Fuji with off-camera flash. I had a great time. I think I got some good pictures, and I did it with a very small kit that I was able to carry on vacation without any trouble whatsoever. I did do one off-camera shot that day when I was doing street photography, and it's when we were at the area where the giant Ferris wheel is. It's called the High Roller, and my wife was with me, and I thought, well, let's do a quick picture here and use some off-camera flash. And so this is the shot that I got, and this is the sort of thing that I did at the Neon Museum the next day, and that's coming up in the next video. All right, so be sure and subscribe because you don't want to miss it. It's going to be great.